Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to my fellow panelists for your presentations. Excellent information. I would also like to take on the words of a representative from Bangladesh. We express our gratitude and our open invitation to all countries and organizations to collaborate and learn together. Central America, we are a small region. However, we have a lot of interest, motivation, and especially commitment to continue promoting safe and sustainable development. So we express our gratitude to participate in the International Recovery Forum of 2015. On behalf of the Executive Secretary of CEPREDENAC, I express my gratitude. Also on behalf of the 6 institutions that are forming this international intergovernmental organization. Just briefly, I would like to touch upon the regional context of Central America. Central America has 6 regions, 6 countries, in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. And we are considered a very vulnerable region. Actually, it is said that some of our characteristics are very similar to Japan, and this is true. We have a multiple exposure to risk, such as seismic activity, volcanic activity, floods, both recurrent and in extreme cases, also hydrometeorological events, landslides, fires, and tsunami. If you can see in our location, we have this characteristic. From the Caribbean side, we always have affectation regarding hurricanes. From the Pacific Ocean side, we have tsunami warning very frequently. Also, we have a lot of movement because of tectonic plates. So earthquakes are also one of the recurrent events, even for the region of Central America. These natural phenomena and the socioeconomic vulnerability of our countries influence the high frequency and the impact level of disaster. This is the historical fact for us. CEPREDENAC is a specialized institution in charge of coordination towards prevention, mitigation, preparation, and response to disasters occurrence in Central America. As it was established before by Ms. Elizabeth, our functions are not direct implementation, but our functions are to coordinate programs, facilitate funds, and also to provide technical support and provide guidance for establishing normative frameworks regarding regulations, policy, strategic planning, etc. And the functions of CEPREDENAC, which include these six institutions that you can see represented, plus the Executive Secretary, which is located in Guatemala, our functions align with the national priorities and with the actions that are established in the Central American Policy on Comprehensive Disaster Risk Management, which was approved by all presidents and heads of state of Central America in the year 2010. I would like to stress the importance of this document. Having 6 countries working together is, of course, a great opportunity, but reaching agreements among 6 countries also is a challenge. So having one policy that is a comprehensive process involving all of our joint efforts is for us a big success. Central America, because of the commonalities, is following a process of integration. The Central American integration system joins effort in economic side and also this disaster risk management cooperation, fully supports the Central American policy. The origin of this policy was actually Hurricane Mitch in 1998. Some of you may know, but this hurricane was for us what is in Japan, the Hanshin-Awaji earthquake. The occurrence of Hurricane Mitch was a historical turning point for Central America. It was very evident that we needed to strengthen our capacity and move forward for only managing an emergency towards disaster risk management as a comprehensive process. The hurricane occurred in 1998, and a period of recovery and reconstruction started. it is said that we lost 10 years of development because of this situation. And in 1999, a strategic framework for reduction of vulnerability and disaster in Central America was established. Following that framework, we went through a series of documents and regional processes until arriving to our current Central American policy in 2010. The core elements of our policy are 5 thematic approaches, and I would like to bring your attention to core element B and core element E. Core element B is development and social compensation to reduce vulnerability. This element includes education at all levels, what we call formal and informal education, training for communities, training for institutions, and building on resilience of communities. This is a very important topic for us because as a regional organization, we are fully conscious that we have to have a multicultural approach. We have important population, indigenous population in Central America, difference of languages as well. Although all our national languages are Spanish, we have indigenous population who have their own traditional languages. Also, we have to take an inclusive approach, and in this core element, we touch upon the topic of human rights, inclusion, and gender equity. These all transversal topics are also very important for us in the moments of recovery, both pre-disaster and post-disaster. As well, core element E is specifically disaster management and recovery. And we have these specific measures that we consider that are a great success and we are promoting very strongly. The first one is the consolidation of the regional mutual assistance and coordination mechanism. This mechanism implies that all 6 countries have adopted an agreement that in the case of a disaster, there will be mutual assistance. So intra-regional cooperation is very important for us. It means that we will have access to resources, technical support, and guidance faster because in our geographical location, we are really close. Also, we are promoting the standardizing information management and damage evaluation. And we have a full concept on recovery and reconstruction with transformation and addressing the previous question, as well as promoting an exchange of experiences, both inside the region and outside of the region. All the other elements, of course, are complementary topics, and they all come together in the process of recovery. Investment for sustainable development, land management and governance, and environmental and climate change. And in this case, I would like to give this information. Last year, we had a very dramatic situation on food crisis in Central America because of extensive drought. And climate change and environment took this moment. It was a sad moment for several of our communities. However, it became a very important opportunity to join the work of these 2 agendas. All those ministries working in climate change and environment, joining the work and having joint work and joint meetings with disaster risk management entities. What we consider recovery and reconstruction with transformation according with our regional policy, and because it is established in our regional policy, this is also the concept and the process and guidance followed by each of the 6 countries of Central America. It's considered as the process of restoring acceptable and sustainable living conditions through the rehabilitation, reparation, or reconstruction of infrastructure, goods and services that have been destroyed, disrupted, or damaged in the area affected, and the reactivation or promotion of the economic and social development of communities affected, avoiding the increase and reconstruction of existing vulnerabilities and inequities. What happened after 2010? Of course, we had a major disaster. In 2011, Tropical Depression 12E impacted 5 of the 6 countries of Central America. The affectation area was Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and to a lesser extent, Costa Rica. The situation caused by Tropical Depression 12E was really serious, and of course, the affectation was directly to communities living in poverty, vulnerable housing system, vulnerable health and education services. We used this moment to bring together again presidents and heads of state in order to make the best of this tragedy. So we found two sets of conditions. The first set of conditions, we had general affectation. We had serious economic losses and imminent necessity for rehabilitation and reconstruction following the concept of recovery with transformation. And we identified that our structural elements, such as national specific policies and regulations, needed to be improved. However, we had some advantageous conditions. By that moment, the regional policy was already approved and was fully supported. The national governments had decided to fully support agenda of comprehensive disaster risk management, and the national and regional system had very important alliances with international support. The message was very clear in this year, and it was, we will not reconstruct the risk. Starting in the early 2012, we had the very valuable support of UNHCR, UNDP, through International Recovery Platform to start our process of establishing the national recovery frameworks in each of the 6 countries. And this is because, although the implementation at territorial level is, of course, key for effective success in the recovery, in our countries, we need to institutionalize the process. In years previous, we have improved our processes of recovery, but because we do it as an ad hoc or temporary process, we usually lose impact, sustainability, predictability. So institutionalizing through national frameworks is very important. There are 2 topics that I would like to touch very briefly. They are common for all the 6 countries, and they are some of the successful elements for our coordination process in Central America. We consider that we need to touch 3 levels when establishing the national recovery framework. The policy and the strategy level that usually brings together the high-level central government authorities and the chief entities of comprehensive disaster risk management. This level is receiving feedback, technical support, and expertise from the decision-making level that is composed by national system boards that have representation of all sectors and civil society and are usually called to meetings by the chief entities of risk management, and the operative level, because in each of our countries we have regions as well as everywhere, departments, or we are calling provinces, municipalities. So we have promoted very strongly that in each territory unit we have a representation by sector and by risk management entities. And this is reflected on the second graphic. These are the different levels where we work, and this is a common order or structure that we implement in Central America. What have we been doing since 2012 in the topic of national recovery framework? I would like to give you a brief review, country by country. In Guatemala, the UNHCR, CEPREDENAC, UNDP supported the chief entity, that's called CONRED, and there was several training workshops and planning meetings, and in 2013, they established their national recovery framework, adopted and approved, including multi-sector and interinstitutional process led by CONRED, and with the support of the Recovery Cluster of the United Nations. Since that year, in 2014, they have been promoting this document and this process in different levels. There was a general presentation to all the assembly members. Also, there's joint work with the Ministry of Public Works. And as CEPREDENAC, we participated in 2014 in a national forum with governors. 45 governors of Guatemala were present in this forum, and they received an explanation and information on how to articulate, how to coordinate their actions, because precisely operative level, implement level, they are the ones who oversee this level. Governors in each of the with all of the municipality authorities. In El Salvador, several training workshops have taken place, and during 2011 and 2012, there was a temporary recovery and development transition framework. Building on the experience, on the good practices of that framework, they have continued the training workshops and are now revising this document, because in this year, 2015, they have planned to approve the new and updated National Plan on Comprehensive Disaster Risk Management, including the framework for recovery. In Honduras, in 2014 as well, they established their National Disaster Risk Management Policy that fully represents the 5 core elements of the regional policy, and they include a core element dedicated to recovery and reconstruction with transformation and consideration of resilience factors. And they also implement ad hoc programs, and our purpose is to support them in order to institutionalize these programs, such as reactivation funds for agriculture, salt industry, tourism, and the commerce sector, also rehabilitation and construction of effective housing system, pre-investment studies for approaching risk management and climate change, among others. In Nicaragua, we support the realization of training workshops in the topic of post-disaster recovery. The most recent one was celebrated in November 2014. And the action plan of 2015 of the national chief entity, it's called CEPRED, includes the implementation of post-disaster recovery framework plan. So this is also a huge achievement for us. Nicaragua is very strong working directly with communities. In Central America, each country has a strong point, also a weak point. So we build upon these commonalities or differences. So we would like to support closely to Nicaragua using the guidelines of the recovery framework and adapting them at municipality level. In Costa Rica as well, there are training workshops and planning meetings. In 2014 was the most recent one, so they are now revising this proposal of National Recovery Framework. In last year, they have affectation of volcanic eruption as well as extensive floods. This brought together the sectors for land regulation and disaster risk management, so we are supporting them also in guidelines regarding urban planning and land management. And in the case of Panama, they established in 2013 their national platform of comprehensive disaster risk management, and in this platform they include a thematic board of recovery. We are supporting them in all levels, training workshops, including partners such as the International Federation of Red Cross, and especially in some processes such as revision, systematization, and implementation of methodologies and educational tools. From the regional level, CEPREDENAC itself, the executive secretary, implements several regional programs. Actually, they have 5 years or more of duration. Some of them are specific or have a specific component regarding recovery. And we have also celebrated just 3 months ago a regional training workshop with UNHCR and UNDP on damage and needs assessment and recovery planning. As a conclusion, we will say that there's a progress. We are advancing in this process. However, we identify certain situations that we need to tackle directly. I would like to point out specifically the last one. We are conscious that we have or we need for effective planning to include financial protection strategies for sustainability and for effective and predictive implementation of these recovery frameworks, if we don't have specific funds for them, it's going to take longer for us to see results. Each Central American country has a fund for emergencies, but it has only an emergency management perspective. There's also a budget for all of the chief entities on disaster risk management, but this budget sometimes is limited. So we are promoting a regional fund that has a more friendly approach and can be also used for recovery process. I would like to use the words of a very important partner of us, Mr. Ricardo Mena, Chief of the Regional Office for the Americas of UNSDR. In November, he gave this statement. Although Central America is a highly vulnerable region, it is as well an example of multi-sector coordination towards the reduction of disaster risk and the strengthening of community resilience. This doesn't mean that we don't have challenges. Risk factors such as poverty, discrimination, what we call informal employment are also elements that we need to consider for pre- and post-disaster recovery. And although we try to have a cohesive process, bringing all sectors together, this is an ongoing effort, and we need to step up in our work and bringing together all sectors. Sometimes private sector falls behind, sometimes tourism falls behind, so we need to have this cohesive approach. And we are fully conscious that asymmetries constitute an opportunity for the development of actions towards cooperation. So we want to strengthen this mutual support with the region and with the rest of regions and at international level as well. What is very important is that we have a very strong and fortified political stand at regional level. As a conclusion, I'd like to just point out the last one. Following the third World Conference of Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai this March, Central America will uphold the third consultative forum on our central comprehensive policy. And in this forum, we will be all represented, CEPREDENAC, national system, civil society, international organizations, and the education and scientific institutions in order to revise and strengthen the commitment. We would like to use this chance of this very important forum where we usually have 400 or 500 participants from the region to touch upon the topic of recovery and to continue promoting this process. As well, we are promoting 2 regional academies in Central America. One of them is located in Costa Rica and the other one is in Panama. So we would like to welcome all of possible joint programs to develop a curriculum for these academies in order to touch upon this very important topic. Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be back in Kobe. I graduated from Kobe University a couple of years ago, so I'm very happy to see some of the representatives as well, and thank you so much for this opportunity.